Coming up on 5 Minute News. January 6 investigation blames Trump for attempted coup. Civil rights probe launched into Louisiana State Police. And US lifts COVID testing requirement for international arrivals. It's Saturday, June 11. I'm Anthony Davis. The bipartisan panel investigating the January 6 insurrection at the US Capitol has laid the blame firmly on Donald Trump, saying the assault was not spontaneous, but an attempted coup and a direct result of the defeated president's effort to overturn the 2020 election. With a never-before-seen 12-minute video of extremist groups leading the deadly siege and startling testimony from Trump's most inner circle, the 1-6 committee provided gripping detail on Thursday night in contending that Trump's repeated lies about election fraud and his public effort to stop Joe Biden's victory led to the attack and imperiled American democracy. Jan 6 was the culmination of an attempted coup, a brazen attempt, as one rioter put it shortly after January 6, to overthrow the government, Representative Benny Thompson, chairman of the panel, said. The violence was no accident. Testimony on Thursday showed how Trump desperately clung to his own false claims of election fraud, beckoning supporters to the Capitol on January 6 when Congress would certify the results, despite those around him insisting Biden had won the election. In a previously unseen video clip, the panel played a remark from former Attorney General Bill Barr, who testified that he told Trump the claims of a rigged election were bullshit. In another clip, the former president's daughter, Ivanka, testified to the committee that she respected Barr's view that there was no election fraud. I accepted what he said, she said. Others showed leaders of the extremist Oath Keepers and Proud Boys preparing to storm the Capitol to stand up for Trump. One rioter after another told the committee they came to the Capitol because Trump asked them to. President Trump summoned a violent mob, said Republican Liz Cheney, the panel's vice chair, who took the lead for much of the hearing. When a president fails to take the steps necessary to preserve our union, or worse, causes a constitutional crisis, we're in a moment of maximum danger for our republic. There was a gasp in the hearing room when Cheney read an account that said when Trump told the Capitol mob chanting for Vice President Mike Pence to be hanged for refusing to block the election results, Trump responded that maybe they were right, that he deserves it. At another point, it was disclosed that Representative Scott Perry, a leader of efforts to object to the election results, had sought a pardon from Trump, which would protect him from prosecution. When asked about the White House lawyers threatening to resign over what was happening in the administration, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, scoffed they were whining. Police officers who had fought off the mob consoled one another as they sat in the committee room, reliving the violence they faced on January 6. Officer Harry Dunn teared up as body cam footage showed rioters bludgeoning his colleagues with flagpoles and baseball bats. In wrenching testimony, U.S. Capitol Police officer Caroline Edwards told the panel that she slipped in other people's blood as rioters pushed past her into the Capitol. She suffered brain injuries in the melee. The riot left more than 100 police officers injured, many beaten and blooded, as the crowd of pro-Trump rioters, some armed with pipes, bats and bear spray, charged into the Capitol. At least 9 people who were there died during and after the rioting, including a woman who was shot and killed by police. Trump, unapologetic, dismissed the investigation and even declared on social media that January 6 represented the greatest movement in the history of our country. The U.S. Justice Department has opened a civil rights probe into the Louisiana State Police, department officials said on Thursday, more than 3 years after the deadly arrest of black motorist Ronald Green in the state in 2019. The so-called pattern or practice investigation is the latest federal probe into potential systematic patterns of abuse at police departments and jails across the country. The Justice Department has also launched probes into Georgia state prisons, Texas juvenile detention facilities, and police departments in Minneapolis and Louisville, among others. The department has already launched a separate probe into the case involving Green, who died in May 2019 at the age of 49 while in Louisiana police custody. Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark for the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division announced the probe along with other U.S. attorneys in Louisiana, saying it would focus on whether state police used excessive force and discriminatory conduct and was separate from other investigations. The Biden administration is lifting the requirement that international air travelers to the U.S. take a COVID-19 test within a day before boarding their flights, easing one of the last remaining government mandates meant to contain the spread of coronavirus. A senior administration official said the mandate expires on Sunday at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time, saying the CDC has determined that it's no longer necessary. The Biden administration put in place the testing requirement last year as it moved away from restrictions that banned non-essential travel from several dozen countries, most of Europe, China, Brazil, South Africa, India, and Iran, and instead focuses on classifying individuals by the risk they pose to others. It came in conjunction with a requirement that foreign non-immigrant adults traveling to the United States need to be fully vaccinated, with only limited exceptions. Airline and tourism groups have been pressing the administration for months to eliminate the testing requirement, saying it is discouraging people from booking international trips. The lifting of the requirement comes 6 weeks after a Trump-appointed federal judge ended the CDC's mask requirement for mass transit, including trains, planes, buses, and transit hubs, saying the agency exceeded its authority. You can subscribe to 5-Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5-Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate, and review online at 5minute.news. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health, and climate, delivering independent, unbiased, and essential world news daily.